Peace. So today is a holy day, and I usually give a little draw on a holy day. You know what I'm saying? Just to get the day started. And today I'm gonna do the same thing, and I'm gonna discuss perfection. And because a lot of times I think we don't have a good understanding. Well, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that we don't have a good understanding of what perfection is. I'm just going to give my draw on it. First of all, the definition or the meaning of perfection, there's probably various meanings, but one that stands out to me specifically is without flaw. One who is without flaw, free of all flaws. You understand what I'm saying? Someone who's perfect, free of all flaws. Now, the thing is this. You have people who walk around with that idea of being perfect. I'm perfect. Nothing, everything, even though we know and understand that that's not a reality, because number one, you're in flesh. And being in flesh won't allow you to be perfect, because the flesh has its own nature. You understand what I'm saying? And there's a nature that, it has its own nature, and that nature is counterculture or counterproductive to the true you. You see? So that flesh may stop you from being perfect, because the flesh itself isn't perfect. It has a flaw. You see what I mean? So the thing is that as we discuss this, and I'm going to keep going further, we have to differentiate between being perfect and being perfected. And on this day, that is what I'm going to discuss. See, my thing is this. They say practice makes perfect and so on and so forth. Well, this is Islamism, and the practice of Islamism makes perfect. But my thing is this. How do you practice something that's already perfect? You understand what I'm saying? This deen has already been perfected. You see? And that's what we're dealing with. How has this deen been perfected? It's been perfected through Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and the trials and tribulations that he went through to establish, you know what I'm saying, Islam, and the method in which it was established. We know that Islam exists before Prophet Muhammad, but we also understand that that particular aspect, that particular religion, the forming of it, Al-Islam, had to be perfected. In other words, there were other sources also. It had to be grown in such a way that it could fit that particular people and their particular elements. Now, the thing is this. For me, perfection is a path. It's not a destination. You'll never get perfection you'll never get to the destination of perfection, not in your flesh. You understand what I'm saying? So for me, perfection is a path, right? Period. A path that you travel, you strive for. But on top of it, perfected is a totally different thing. Man can be perfected. You understand what I'm saying? And man is perfected by the trials and tribulations that he goes through, and how he deals with those adversities, how he comes out of those adversities alive, you know what I'm saying, and living without later on having to fall back into that same particular manifest, because he has become perfected in that particular area of life, environment, or whatever. So perfected man, you know what I'm saying, must go through all trials and tribulations in order to get perfected. You understand what I'm saying? He has to go through situations, just like Jesus said, I will go through all the halls of learning and sit in all the seats. You know what I'm saying? So I could learn how to succor my brother man and go through everything that my brother man had went through, so on and so forth. It's the same situation. That's the perfected ideology. That is how man becomes perfected. So when you look at that circle 7 and you look at those quadrants and you see that 7 in the middle of it, that perfected man, that's what that's about. You understand what I'm saying? Being hedged and protected by those quadrants, or what we call gates. And there's something at each gate guarding the entrance of the gate. But that's a whole nother degree. So on this day, I wanted to specifically just get into the science of perfection versus perfected, and know and understand that we have people who run around thinking that they are actually perfect, that they have no flaws. What type of mindset would even allow somebody to think that they're perfect? You understand what I'm saying? Who would allow themselves to even think that they're perfect? That's a problem, because they haven't identified or examined really what perfection really means. To say I'm perfect. We use words a lot and we use them out of context. And a lot of times we use words that don't even know the definition, or, you know what I'm saying? So we put ourselves in bad situations. But on this holy day, I just wanted to discuss perfected man versus perfection. And no one understand, I'm going to say it again, that perfection is a path. It's something you strive for on this manifest. And it's going to be conflict because your flesh is imperfect. It has its own nature. You understand what I'm saying? That if you're not careful, it will whisper to you and you will act out on the nature of your flesh. That's the science behind devil. You see what I mean? But that's a whole nother story also. So on this day, again, study perfected man and study perfection and see how do you sit and where do you sit with the words perfection and perfected, and how does it apply to you? And how do you see yourself in this whole paradigm? And what do you continue to do to stay perfected, to get perfected? You know what I mean? In all aspects of your life. You have to go through trials and tribulations. And again, the key is the way you come out of them and what you come out of it with and what you have to offer others when you come out of it. Because see, you become a guide in a sense, because you've made it through certain things. You are now able to show others how to make it through. You see what I'm saying? And that's the science of being perfected, because there's a lesson in being perfected. You understand what I'm saying? And the lesson must be learned. And it's easy for the lesson to be learned when you don't call it positive or negative, because positive and negative, those words carry vibrations too. So you just call it a lesson. Let it be just that, a lesson, neither positive or negative, just a lesson. And with that being stated, work on yourself. Peace.